Hello, this is A Voice in the Darkness, and I'm your host, Gwendolyn Forte. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Whether you're at home or in your car or possibly at work, maybe you're outdoors or at the gym, maybe you're in a hospital room, wherever you are, I am so glad that you are here on today. The purpose of A Voice in the Darkness is to encourage, to uplift, and to enlighten. So many people are walking through difficult times and challenging seasons, and it's very easy to want to give up. And if that's you, I want to encourage you not to give up, not to throw in the towel, and not to quit, because I believe you can do this. You can make it, and you're an overcomer. I'm telling you that I've walked through times in my life where I was overwhelmed and I felt like I couldn't make it. And God used just individuals, different people to encourage me, to tell me, you know what, you can make it. And literally that one word of encouragement changed the direction of my life. And I'm here to encourage you today, no matter what you're facing, no matter what hardship, no matter what you're walking through. I want to encourage you that you can do this, that you can make it. So I'm so glad that you are tuned in on today. If you're a regular and you have subscribed and you listen every week, thank you so much for joining me again. But if you are new to A Voice in the Darkness podcast, thank you so much. And I pray that you're blessed, and I would love for you to subscribe and download this episode. So today I want to dive right in this beautiful month of May. We're in the 5th month, and I can't even believe that we got here so fast. And I want to just dive right on in to discuss this week's title episode, which is Defy Mediocrity. Defy Mediocrity. If you've been listening to me for the last 4 weeks, I've been talking about, preparing for our next. And I do believe that this is going to connect right on in, because when you're preparing and doing everything that, God is wanting you to do, I really do think sometimes we're going to hit up against this mediocrity, okay? So I want to dive right into that today. I believe that we are all called to defy mediocrity, okay? And that word defy is to resist, to withstand, to stand up against, or stand up to, or to oppose, okay? So we need to defy this. What is mediocrity? Mediocrity is it's like a indifference. It's adequate. It's ordinary. It's commonplace. Another definition was inferior or amateur or second rate or a non-starter. Now that non-starter got me. I was like, wow, non-starter. So defy being indifferent, defy being adequate, defy being ordinary, defy being commonplace or inferior or amateur or second rate or a non-starter. Resist this. We withstand it. Stand up to, oppose this. And I believe this is what we're called to do in this hour. It's very easy to want to hide in the background, not give your best, or to just pull back and just say, hey, this is all I can do. And I really do believe that we're called to give our best and to do things with excellence. And how many of you enjoy things that are excellent? You want the best. You love things that are of quality. And if you like those things that are of quality, I believe we also are to produce quality. We're called to be producers, creators, executors of excellence and quality. And I want to dive right on in today and talk to you about this from the scripture. And I want to talk to you from Colossians. And I'm going to read all my scriptures today from the Amplified Version. And I want to take you really fast to Colossians 3:23. Okay, and I want to read it to you in the Amplified. It says, work willingly at whatever you do, as though you were working for the Lord rather than people. Okay, listen, you're doing this for the Lord rather than people. And I think this is so important, because when we understand that we're working for the Lord and we're not doing this for people, things are going to look a little bit difference. I'm going to read it again. I'm sorry. That was the New Living Translation. I'm going to read it in the Amplified. And it says, whatever you do, whatever your task may be, work from the soul. That is, put your very best effort as something done for the Lord and not for men. And I love that. Your very best effort. Okay? Your very best effort. And I think that a lot of times when we're doing things, we have to ask ourselves, am I doing my very best? Am I giving my all? Am I doing this service onto the Lord? If no one else was watching, am I doing my best? And I think that's going to determine a lot in this hour on what we're working on. If you are, like I said, getting your degree, or if you're building a business, or if you're starting up something new, whatever it is, maybe you're a writer or a poet or an artist, whatever you're doing, when no one's looking, how are you doing it? And so this passage really kind of speaks a lot to what I want to talk about today. It says, whatever you do, whatever your task may be. So if you're listening to me, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It says, work from the soul. That is, put your very best effort as something done for the Lord and not for men. So do it because God is watching, not necessarily because man is going to look at you and tell you, oh, great job, but do your very best at whatever you're putting your hands to on today. I want to encourage you because it's going to be very imperative in the coming days when you see your end result. It's going to be something that you're going to be very pleased with in this hour. I want you to go with me to 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 7. I'm going to read this also from the Amplified, and I want to just encourage you with this passage. It says, but just as you excel in everything and lead the way in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in genuine concern, and in your love for us, see that you excel in this gracious work of giving also. And I thought this was such a great passage because he's saying, just as you excel in everything, he was encouraging them not to just excel in one area of your life and in the other area is sloppy. Paul was encouraging the church to excel in all these areas, especially in the area of giving. But I want to talk to you because this word excel in everything, or in other words, lead the way in your faith, okay? In the way you believe, in your speech, in the way you talk, in your knowledge. Are you knowledgeable about the area that you're teaching? Are you knowledgeable about the area that you're speaking about? Are you knowledgeable in the area that you're working in? Come on. It says, let us lead the way in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in genuine concern, and in love for us, that we excel in this gracious work. I believe that we are all called to walk in a spirit of excellence. I don't believe we're called to be mediocre or indifferent or just adequate and ordinary or commonplace or inferior or always live being an amateur or second rate or being someone who's a non-starter. But we're called to defy these things and to rise up and to be all that God is calling you to be in this area of your life, in this season right now. You are being challenged, and sometimes it can be difficult or you can feel overwhelmed. But I want you to say, put your hands to whatever you're doing and don't stop. Keep working. You can do this thing. And when you are learning also and putting yourself to learn from the best, you're going to get better because you're sitting yourself under a mentor, or you're being tutored, or you're an excellent pupil, and then you're getting better and better and better. Okay? This is important. I believe we're all called to walk in a spirit of excellence. And I want to take us to Titus 2 and 7. And I'm going to read this also from the Amplified version. And it says, and in all things, show yourself to be an example of good works with purity and doctrine, having the strictest regard for integrity and truth, dignified. Now, I love that we're going to be an example to others, but I love it that it's saying a regard for integrity and truth. We have to be true to ourselves. We have to do things and really be integral and really, whatever you're doing, do it. Do it and be truthful in what you're doing. Are you true to yourself? Do you want to do what you're doing? Or are you just doing it because the neighbors are doing it? Are you trying to compete with somebody else? Do you believe in what you're doing? Is it an honest profession? Is it an honest craft? Do you have a desire and a passion? Well, listen, when you're going to do this scripture is saying right here, it's saying, show yourself to be an example. Okay, let it be pure. You need to have a high regard for integrity and truth, and make sure that what you're doing, you believe in this. Okay, you believe in it. If you are a musician, then work hard with a spirit of excellence, but it's something that you believe in. You want to do this. You're true to this craft. If you are a minister of the gospel, then you live it. You live the word. You eat the word. You live it in your house behind closed doors. You practice what you're saying, that you're living it with such excellence and purity and integrity. Come on, whatever you're called to do in the marketplace, whatever profession, a teacher, a nurse, a doctor, a physician, an accountant, whatever you are, we have to do this with integrity. And I believe we're called to come up higher with a spirit of excellence. And I want to give us some keys today, okay? 5 things that can help us in this area. Number 1, everything you do it as unto the Lord. Don't try to do it to be a man pleaser. Don't do it so other people can toot your horn, but you do it as unto the Lord, because when you give your craft and commit what you're doing to the Lord, he's going to bless it. Okay? Do everything as unto the Lord. Number 2, ask God for a spirit of excellence. I have to be honest with you. Growing up, I didn't have a spirit of excellence. Okay. I remember my brothers, they both were like all A students. I was like maybe 3 A's, 3 B's. And I remember saying in my heart that I'm fine with that. And listen to me. If you have 3 A's and 3 B's and you're in school and whatever, that's good. I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but I'm telling you, I settled because I just didn't want to put in that work. I wanted to enjoy myself in high school. So I was like, okay, I'm fine with 3 A's and 3 B's. While my brothers, they studied, they got their A's, they got scholarships, and they really did well. They had internships in the summer, but I was fine with just saying I'll graduate with a 3.33, and I did. I graduated with a 3 because I said I was fine with it. Listen, it is not okay when you can do better and you settle for mediocre. If that was the best that I could do, then it was great. But because it wasn't my best, listen to me, I was indifferent. I was just being adequate and ordinary and commonplace. And I was inferior. I wasn't being integral to what I truly was able to produce. It was just being second rate. Okay? And if that's you, then own it today. Hear me. If you can do better, do your best. Okay? Do your best. So that's number 2. Ask God for a spirit of excellence. And that's what I say, God, today, give me a spirit of excellence. And you can ask him, God, give me a spirit of excellence. Okay? So number 1 is do everything as unto the Lord. Number 2, ask God for a spirit of excellence. Number 3, get trained and equipped. Okay? If you need certification, if you need to go back to school, if you need to get with the right people to learn your craft, then do so. Get trained and equipped and skilled at what you're doing. Okay? Do that. Take time to do that. Take time to do that. And number 4, practice and rehearse. Work at what you're doing. Don't just one time do it. No, practice until you're excellent at it and you're expert at it. And you're the professional. And you're a professional. You do it well. You're confident because you're practicing, and that you're practicing correctly. And because you practice correctly, you're going to be perfect at it, mature at it, excellent at whatever you're doing. Okay? And number 5, lastly, be true to yourself. And that's this passage right here, having that integrity. Be true to yourself. I wasn't true to myself in high school. I was like, I'll do whatever. I just want to just graduate. And hear me, I understand if you're walking through a hard time and maybe that's where you are, but that cannot be your life posture. That is whatever I do, I do. And, I remember younger, I was like that. I was like, okay, if I was fine. It's fine. But I was able to do better than that. But I didn't want to push myself. I was okay with being average and mediocre. And I was indifferent, and adequate was fine. Ordinary was fine. Okay? Amateur, second rate, inferior. It was fine. And I don't believe that is the will of God for each and every one of us on today. I believe we're to rise above the rest like Daniel. Okay? Daniel and the 3 Hebrew boys were above their peers. Okay. And I believe that is what God is calling you and myself and whoever's listening to this episode today, is to do your best, defy mediocrity, defy that which you would want to keep you at a common place, to be stagnant, to be a non-starter, to be inferior, to be second rate. Defy that. Okay. Oppose that, withstand it. Resist it. You are called to greatness. You are called to do great things. And I believe as you do these things, which is number 1, do everything that you do as unto the Lord. Number 2, ask God for a spirit of excellence. Number 3, get trained and equipped. Get skilled at whatever you're doing. Number 4, practice and rehearse, okay? And number 5, be true to yourself, okay? Be true to yourself. This is going to be very important in the coming days, that you see that everything that I'm saying right now is going to make or break whether you are excelling in this next season or just getting by. Okay. So I believe your greatest days are ahead of you. My goodness gracious. And I just want to encourage you to continue moving forward. Don't stop. Mediocre is not your portion. You're called to live in a spirit of excellence. So I just want to thank you so much for tuning in on today. Would love for you to rate and comment and share and like this podcast. I'm excited about the new things that God is doing in my life right now. And if you want to join my 4-week Radiant Woman Intensive, just check me out on Facebook, A Voice in the Darkness on Facebook, or A Voice in the Darkness on Instagram. And I'll give you more details on how to join that 4-week intensive coming up in June, 4 weeks in June. And so I thank you so much for tuning in. You can check me out on Spotify, Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, YouTube, or Castbox. So thank you so much for tuning in on today. Until next time, I'm Gwendolyn Forte with A Voice in the Darkness, signing off.